Hello, a little late for Monday morning show today. Kiddos are home for President's Day, so we're just a little bit behind. But today we are going to talk about how you can create healthier habits in your home without being overwhelmed and getting everyone to yell at you because they don't want to change any of their patterns. I'm Kara Harvey. I am the founder of A Purpose-Driven Mom. My kids are home today, so we're going to see how this goes today while they're in the other room. But I help overwhelmed moms develop systems and routines so that they can be less stressed out and just have a smoother home. The goal here is to help you create routines that are priority-based and fit for you so that you can in turn go after your own goals. And today we're actually going to talk about healthy habits. Now, why do we do this? Our kids' behavior is completely different when they have certain types of food, and I can vouch for it. Now, I want to shout out the irony of today because we are coming a couple days off Valentine's Day, and my kids are definitely, going to have a lollipop in a second. So I just want to shout the irony of all that. But it's not about perfection. It's about intention. So listen, food, it's not good or bad. It's not bad that they have a lollipop. Lollipops are not awful. But it's about the words we use and the habits that we create in our homes that allow them to make healthy habits long term. It's our turn to change and fix the legacy. I grew up in a home where we focused on desserts, right? Like there was dessert after every meal. It was this thing to look forward to. It was on a pedestal, cookies and brownies. Those things were so special that the regular food paled in comparison. I don't know, maybe you grew up in a home like that as well. I grew up in a home where dessert was every single night, where we had to sneak food because dad had his special snacks that we weren't allowed to touch. And then when we weren't having it, I would hear other people saying things like, well, sugar is the devil and it's so bad for you. And I created all of these different thoughts for me around food, which then in turn turned, one second. Ariana, one sec, please. Turned into, she's tattling on her brother. Turned into a big amount of emotional eating for me. It turned into the fact that from when I was 16 to 26, I fed my feelings with alcohol and with food. I wound up being obese, very unhealthy, and miserable in my life. And I hid it because I had grown up with this mindset that food was something shameful. And if I was eating at all, it was shameful. And I was fortunate enough to learn in my mid-20s that I was worth more. I wound up losing 70 pounds, and I created healthy habits that now are just my life. So I was able to have 2 healthy pregnancies, and have been working to, quote, lose the baby weight. But pregnancy was the first time for me that I learned the difference between fueling my body and punishing my body with food and exercise. And I think as a mom, it is so important, especially for me, I have 2 boys and a girl, to teach them healthy habits, to teach them about creating better choices, to help them have a positive story with food. And maybe you don't have one right now and you're like, I don't even know how to start that. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. But listen, it's not about villainizing the food, okay? It's about keeping them healthy. It's about teaching them about balance. It's about teaching them how, it's okay to have certain foods on your plate. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to the podcast interview that I did with Jennifer Anderson from Kids Eat in Color 2 weeks ago, go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, search Purpose-Driven Mom Show. You'll scroll down and you'll see it. She told a lot of really great stories on how we can help encourage our kids to just have healthier habits, to just live healthier lives. And that's what I want to talk about today, how it's not about changing everything in your home. It's not about never eating sweets or going through a drive-through. It's about creating healthy habits so that you're not leaning on food more than you lean on other things. Okay, so how do we do this? I'm going to talk about what I call habit stacking, and this is how we can tie all this food stuff back into routines. What I did last January was I realized after the holidays they were eating just all the things, and I was over it. And I thought, I'm in charge. I go grocery shopping. I buy the foods. What can I do to help change this? And so I made a list of all the snacks that I was buying for my kids. And I had a list of about a dozen things every single week that I was buying. And I thought, why am I spending this much money on on snacks, like it's killing my budget. And two, they don't need this many things. So for example, things that were on there, like 2 things of granola bars and 2 things of goldfish and a bag of pretzels. And I mean, they also snacked on like string cheese and fruit, but it was just a lot of processed things, a thing of cookies or ice pops, just like a list of things. And so I decided I was going to use habit stacking to get it under control. And habit stacking is essentially the process of slowly decreasing or slowly adding something in, so decreasing something negative or adding something positive here and there, into your life so that you're not overwhelmed. How do you use it with this example? Well, I said, instead of going and saying, I'm never buying treats again, and we're gonna change 100% of how we eat overnight, because I know that that's not gonna work, right? If you came home to your family and you dumped everything out of your house that you deemed unhealthy, there would be a riot, right? Like there would be a riot. So instead, what you do is you take it away a little bit by a little bit. You don't make a big deal about it. And you say, all right, so instead of buying 2 boxes of granola bars, I'm gonna buy 1. And when the box of granola bars is done, the box of granola bars is done for the week. And that's what I did until I got to a place where I felt comfortable with the amount of snacks that, you know, we were, having in our home. And then it was about 5 snacks. I had cut my budget by almost $10, sometimes more if I was buying a lot more, and I felt really good about it. Then I decided, how can I take this a little further and just make it a little healthier? So if my kids wanted granola bars, I found a homemade recipe. And right now there are things that I'll make homemade, muffins every week, things like that, because 1, it doesn't kill your budget, and 2, it allows me to know what's going in their food. And I did it slow and steady. I created a habit stack over it. I piled it. And it took me a couple weeks, a couple months even, to really get to a place where I feel comfortable with our snack choices. But now I do, and I'm allowed to do that. My kids, they don't even notice, right? So then when they do have a snack or a treat, it's not as big of a deal. The other thing that was recommended in Jennifer's interview was she talked about just like putting the treat on the plate. When you put the treat, when you put the treat on the plate with lunch, for example, so if they want like a lollipop because they got it from school, I'll just put it on their lunch plate. Instead of saying you have to eat all of your lunch before you have the snack, like everything's at a level playing field, right? And it teaches them that like snacks and sugar are not better than anything else, right? It's all food, and you just talk about why you have certain foods and how they fuel your bodies, and how maybe, you know, we can have this lollipop now, but we're just not going to have it every day type of thing. Instead of creating this unbalanced view where sweets are better, treats are better, desserts are better, right? It's all just food. So I recommend you start to use habit stacking to slowly change. Kids are fighting, so I'm going to have to go in a sec. Slowly change over the habits, okay? You slowly start to add in healthier things, take out things that maybe you don't like them having if you notice their behaviors. Like I think my son has a sensitivity to food dye. I've noticed it a lot lately, so I'm really being aware of red and all food dyes. So you just do it slowly. And when you do it over time, you're not overwhelmed as mom, and they're not like, where'd all my food go, right? You just start to slowly change their taste buds. Because I noticed the other day that if I'm just feeding my kids like chicken nuggets and mac and cheese, which is completely where we were at for like all of December, then they're never going to like understand what other flavors are, and it's our job to change it. So imagine like having kids who want to eat more veggies or not spending all this money on processed foods. It is totally possible, okay? So create healthy habits in your families. Try this habit stacking. I'm gonna go get the 2 of them because they're fighting with each other. But I'm gonna share some links you can, I'm gonna go mom it up with these guys. I'm gonna find out what just happened there. But I would love to hear your healthy tips. So you let me know, and I will catch you next Monday for the morning show. 1 second, okay? Have a good one, guys. And I'm gonna say goodbye here over on Facebook. I'm gonna go handle her. Come over to the Facebook group and we'll continue our conversation.